Bubblegum. It's Crisis. What happens if you put them together, Steve?
I wasn't prepared for this. I thought we were reading a Constant Gardener.
No, we are not. We are reading, or we were watching Bubblegum Crisis.
Well, it's a good thing I prepared for that too.
Just in case I decided to pull an audible on you.
You gotta prepare for all the outcomes.
Oh boy, I feel like most people, no matter how old or young you are, you've heard of Bubblegum Crisis. It's a classic anime for a reason. As we found out during the course of watching this, and God, everyone's heard the name. You heard the name though, right? Before I suggested this to you.
Oh yes, it was in all of the catalogs as something to buy for $29.99 for each tape.
Oh, I live those days, baby. We'll talk about those days very shortly. But Steve, what the fuck is Bubblegum Crisis?
It sure is an anime, and I think that's enough for all the people. Good night. No, I'm just kidding. It's a cyberpunk anime, right? Which means we're living in a city not unlike cities that are ones that are have today, but there's sci-fi elements like robots and lasers and whatever other bullshit we can come up with,
and more robots and robots that become other robots. Yeah, it's cyberpunk. Only, look, this the first episode of the series came out in 1987. It's only 5 years after Blade Runner. Now, I know Blade Runner wasn't a big hit at the time, but surely it stirred something within some people, because I tell you what, like, the Blade Runner's all over Bubblegum Crisis. There's no doubt about that.
It sure fucking is.
I mean, if it wasn't clear to you, Steve, when like 30 seconds in to the first episode, it shows the replicants spray painted on the side of a truck.
I thought it said the replicants, like that misspelling. And
no, it said there was a poster that says Priss and the Replicants, but actually said replicants.
That said replica. Okay.
Yeah, but no, there's a very, whether you're influenced by Blade Runner or Bubblegum Crisis, you could draw a direct line from this all the way through history, all the way to Astral Chain if you wanted to. If you ask me.
You sure can.
Okay. I'm going to tell you why it's called Bubblegum Crisis, and
because I've been wondering about that guy. Because I've been wondering about that since 1990, whatever. I've been seeing these catalogs.
Because I didn't know either. Okay, so I'm going to read this. I think I got this from Wiki. Creator Toshimichi Suzuki explained in a 1993 Animerica. Remember Animerica? Holy shit! 1993 Animerica interview. The meaning behind the cryptic title. Quote, "We originally named the series Bubblegum to reflect a world in crisis, like a chewing gum bubble that's about to burst." Okay.
I almost think that's retroactively in a little bit of poor taste, because the world is going through a bubblegum crisis right now. You go to the stores right now, and I can't go buy a pack of gum. Spearmint, they're out. And Juicy Fruit, they're out. Fruit Stripes, they're out.
What about Bubblicious? Do we still have Bubblicious, or did that stay in the 90s?
No, Bubblicious is out, but that and Bubble Tape, those are, I think I could get gas for cheaper than those right now.
Oh my God.
How are we liking these topical jokes out at home?
Hey, you know what? You remember when Priss was looking at the motorcycle later on, how expensive gas was, where she had to go to literally a back alley to get some? So, yay, we're living in time still.
Oh,
so,
Jesus.
we've, between this and our previous creative endeavor, we've talked a lot of movies. We've never talked anime. So
we certainly threatened it.
we definitely threatened it. Even calling the show Cheeky Cheeky Boys, which the people will see when this is uploaded. I'm still not above calling this Cheeky Cheeky Boys, just so you know. The threat. I want the threat of Cheeky Cheeky Boys to always be over our heads. But, okay, so nobody knows what kind of anime watchers we are, because we've never done so. Steve, what kind of anime watcher are you?
I'll watch different things that are suggested to me now. Like right now, I'm watching My Hero Academia and Spy Cross Family. Please send me all your memes. But back when there was a lot of, the '90s were rough on a kid that might have been interested in this sort of thing. You had to deal with whatever was butchered for kids on TV, and then later on, whatever the president brought in for high school anime club. And remember, this was back when anime was very not cool, so it was just a handful of us crowding around the TV. And yeah,
Is this a good time? Is this a good time to mention that you went to Catholic school?
Oh, I did go to Catholic school.
Yeah,
oh boy.
So
I'm sitting there
compound that on top of this. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there in my Catholic school uniform with my tie, and we're watching. Yeah, sure, we got to watch Evangelion and Akira sometimes, but there was a lot of garbage too, and it was a lot like watching TV in that you had to be at the club every week, otherwise you missed out.
Yep.
Thank God we have streaming, because Steve does not have anime DVD money. He did not have it in high school, and even today, I have 2 game consoles he wants to buy games for. I'm not paying these DVD prices. I can't.
DVD? What is this, the Bush administration? How about a Blu-ray of anime?
Yeah, I mean,
that would be good.
Okay, same difference. Have you seen the prices on those?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. It's a lot. I, being a bit older than you in the 90s, I was in the market for buying random VHS tapes from those catalogs, which is how I got my jollies, literally and figuratively. I'm basically the old school OAV watcher. Sorry for still saying OAV. I'm apologizing up front. I know everyone says OVA. I learned it as OAV. That's what you said back then. I'm sorry. If I flip back and forth, you're just going to have to deal with me today. But yeah, I'm the old school OAV watcher. Most of my early viewing came from the AD Vision catalog. I'm sure anyone in my age group who bought anime at that time knows exactly what I'm talking about. Rest in peace, ADV. Did they become ADV Films for some reason? I don't know why that happened.
Don't they still technically exist?
Yeah, you still see their logo on stuff, but they're just a shell. They, like, on old stuff that used to be from AD Vision, you'll still see it by whoever owns it now. But they don't actually exist. Anyway, but yeah, so a lot of that late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s home video market fare. Boy, I tell you what, I love that stuff. And then, as that market sort of dried up, we got into the DVD era, Gungrave, Baki the Grappler, Godinar, Golgo 13, New Guyver. I'm sort of all over the place. I like mechs, but not the hoity-toity shit like Gundam. I like, those sort of crime shows like Gungrave, but not like too up its own ass like Noir. You ever see Noir? Jesus Christ.
No.
Oh, don't. I don't know. Maybe you'd like it. I couldn't. So I guess in a way I'm sort of a little bit of a picky anime watcher, but I do have a certain style that I like and that I can identify. But like, the reason why I fell in love with this stuff is like, really, it sounds silly now, but it was the cool factor. Like, it's a meme now. Oh, I'm cool. I watch anime. No, that was like really the case back then. Like, that didn't come from nowhere. It did have a mystique and an aura about it because not a lot of people watched it, and it wasn't on TV. So you had to unless it was Speed Racer, right? So you had to literally buy these expensive tapes. You had to be in the know, and I was just the right age to get caught up in that stuff. How I got it past my mom, hey, I just want to buy these cartoons. My family wasn't generally interested in my hobbies, even video games. So they just left me to my own devices. Oh, you want these fun cartoons from Japan? Okay, fine. Didn't really tell her what was in them, but didn't really watch them when anybody else was home. But
hey, Andre, could you tell me what your first anime titty was?
It was New Cutie Honey. When they revived Cutie Honey in the mid 90s, also produced by Go Nagai, the creator. It was definitely that, because that's a magical girl show. But when she transforms, you see that shit, buddy. It was so imagine my surprise when I saw stuff like Sailor Moon and then they're just glowing rainbow shit.
Because mine was Vampire Hunter D in that anime club, and I have no idea how we managed to continue watching that film after he was stabbing those succubi and they were naked. I
Oh
guess
man, I
I guess the
haven't.
I guess the moderator was just grading papers, or was it turning the other cheek, or whatever we did in Catholic high school.
I was going to say, in Catholic school, everybody, please don't let anybody forget that. It is a very crucial to this.
This was 2001. Come and get me, brother. Come and get me, Franciscan brothers.
But also just the quality. So, like, in America, direct to video is a dirty word, right? It means cheap and bad, or it can't make it in the theater or whatever. In Japan, it's the complete opposite. It is the complete opposite. It is like that is the premium tip top shit because that is the big budget stuff. On TV, you have to cut budget because you have to make 13 episodes or 26 episodes. And OAV can be like 3 episodes, and then you have all the budget of like a 26. So you can go fucking nuts if you want to. And boy, Bubblegum Crisis goes nuts, Steve. Jesus Christ. But yeah, and also not just the budget, just, the running times can be whatever you wanted. There's no content restrictions because it's for video. You don't have to worry about getting it on TV, right? So you can show whatever you want. Was Vampire Hunter D an OAV, or was that a movie, like strictly like a movie?
There was a movie, and then there was a second movie like years later, Vampire Hunter Bloodlust.
I remember that, and I didn't like that very much.
And no, it wasn't very good.
No, I do remember that one. And I mean, look, let's face it. I started buying anime when I was 12. It's the titties. I'm not saying it's the only reason why I bought them, but like, come on. Let's be real. That was a big factor.
It's less about the titties for me now, but listen, this is where I level with you. And I used to be less picky about the anime I watched because like I said, the anime club was like TV. I had to be there and I had to watch what was given to me. But then as time went on, oh, look at Netflix and this giant backlog of anime. I guess I better start cramming as much of it into my face as I can. Oh, sure, I get to watch a lot of great anime this way, like, Trigun and Cowboy Bebop, finally, after everyone was raving about it on Cartoon Network for however long, because that was a premium channel out here for however long, and we certainly weren't shelling out for that. Oh, everyone's like, oh, Toonami, that was my... No, we certainly were not paying for that back in the day. There was a lot of garbage harem anime, too, and after a while, I can only sit through so much, like one or two series of that later. Like, you know what? Maybe I won't add every single anime Netflix has to my queue.
I started watching anime online. Remember when Hulu was free and they had like Fists of the North Star? You could just like watch it. I watched like all 150 something episodes. Like, it was crazy.
I watched a good chunk of that before they took it off.
Oh, okay, so you missed it. This was like, I don't know, 10 years ago now or something like that, so I guess I caught it.
Lupin 2. They like had chunks of Lupin, and then they lost the rights. So that's another one where I just have a very spotty history with.
So you have seen some old anime then, I guess, is this the thing. I was kind of thinking like you were more of a new school guy, because all I really heard you talk about was like, things that you're into currently, My Hero Academia, whatever, but I guess that's not the case.
No, and I'm still open to seeing older things I haven't watched yet, like Bubblegum Crisis. Hey!
What else have you seen that's old, real quick?
Oh, I've seen Slayers. That was a questionable dub.
Oh, yeah, I love Slayers. Of course, I love Slayers.
I do too, but I tried watching. We watched a few episodes of the club long ago, and that popped up on Netflix. Like, oh, this will be fun to watch the rest. And it was a lot of screaming, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness is right.
Serial Experiment Lane. That was a fun 12-episode run.
I did not like that at all. That is not an anime for me.
Oh, it was. I don't know. It was a different time. I'm not going to get into all that, but I don't know if I could watch that again, to be honest. But I get around.
All right. Well, let's actually dive into Bubblegum Crisis here. But before we do, there's a little bit of little bit of history. This series, throughout its entire run, I guess from I think the first episode came out sometime like March '87. I think the eighth and final episode came out March '91, January, like early '91. And it was like, yo, that's a long time. And this was planned to be 13 episodes, and it was cut short at that 8 episodes. And the fact that I'm telling you here that it spanned almost 4 years of production for 8 episodes tells you that this production wasn't going the best. Sure didn't show it on screen, but it's almost like one of those things, like put on a good face for the family, the parents do. But yeah, it was cut short. How do you, knowing that going in, you knew that this is a series that was cut short. What were you expecting from this? Or did you expect some sort of very abrupt ending, some sort of cliffhanger, or did you expect what we got?
Well, I think we'll get into what we got, but I felt like it ended a few times before it actually did.
Well, yeah. Well, sometimes...
And even then, there was kind of a non-ending anyway.
Sometimes OAVs really feel like they just are moving. They have all this plot, but then they realize, oh, we have 13 episodes. It's almost like they're skipping episodes on themselves. Like that's why I couldn't get into Record of Lodoss War. I don't know if you ever watched it.
Yes.
But it feels like I missed entire chunks of the story just in between episodes. And it's like, y'all have the power here. Why are you... Okay, you felt that way too, then.
Speaking of having the power, let's talk about our pre-production notes. You're sending me notes saying, oh, they only had 8 episodes, and I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, I guess it is kind of rough having only 22 episodes, 22-minute episodes to tell a thing, and there was only 8 of them. Most of these are double length or so.
Yeah.
I'm like... Okay, suddenly I feel a little less bad, but also that somebody knew something going in, or something was going on, or something's fucked, something's really screwy went on during production, and I don't know what, because I'm a dum-dum with all that.
I'm gonna push back on that just a little bit and say that it wasn't really too uncommon for an OAV to be random lengths if they were several episodes. Like, you see a lot of one-shot OAVs that are like 45 minutes, 60 minutes, not like a movie length, but, a decent length. And then you see other ones that really stick to the strict, like, half an hour blocks, And this was like, I don't know. Yeah, it was all over the place, but you can find other series that are all over the place. So, I don't know. Maybe those series were also fraught with...
I don't know. Most of my OAV experiences were either standard length or one big hour-long episode. So I just wasn't expecting this.
It's not too uncommon, I guess.
I mean, my go-to with OAVs, OVAs, whatever, is the incredibly laughable Fire Emblem one, where it's clear that they had a series in mind, but everyone said no because, I don't know. But we got the dub anyway, and it's hysterical.
Wow, that sounds like something I should actually watch. Does Marth sound like a... Did they give him like a
Spike
crazy...
Spencer is Marth.
I don't know why you say those things as if I have any idea who that is. I was just
you'll know who it is the second he opens his mouth. He was all over the place in the 90s. In these animes productions for us.
Did they give... All I wanted to fucking ask is if they gave him a hoity-toity British accent, because that's how I imagine Marth speaking. Well, then what the fuck? What the fuck? Now we're gonna... Fuck this. We're here. Now we're gonna talk about Bubblegum Crisis.
Great.
Da-dum. Okay. Let's just... You want to set the stage here, or should I? Like, because the intro to the first episode is incredible, actually.
It's a musical opening, and I think you'll be able to explain it a little better than me.
It's okay. It's just perfect. It's like it's the middle of the night. It's like we're panning over this like darkly lit metropolis, these like monolithic buildings. Again, it's Blade Runner. It's like helicopters are flying through, searchlights like hit the buildings in that fun way that you like, This like dramatic synthesizer score starts building, and building as you get this like glimpse of everyday life in Mega Tokyo. That's what it's called, Mega Tokyo, because you can't. Is it really cyberpunk if you don't have like super cities?
Neo New York.
Neo New York. I swear to God, there was something where it was like New Jersey 3 or something, or like I don't know what it was. There was something that had that anyway, but like, yeah, like filthy back alleys. It seems to be a lot of homelessness because, of course, government, not government, but corporations run amok, and which all of this gives way to this super duper radical 80s rock video, basically featuring our, I guess you could say Pris is the main character, even though it's like the four girls. She's the main character, right? Like,
She is the one we spend the most time with.
she's looking like white Tina Turner on this stage, rocking out. Don't
That's
give me that.
that's what they were going for.
Yeah, it's white Tina Turner.
I'm sitting there watching this. I'm like, this is supposed to be somebody, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And you just put it together for me.
Yeah, this is like, so she's rocking out on stage singing this cool ass 80s rock song, and just like, the 80 police are going to work on what is known as a boomer, a synthetic being. Yes, boomer. Okay, boomer, get all your jokes out now. Boomer remover. You got.
I think we should also mention from now that we keep bringing up Blade Runner from here. These boomers aren't, unlike the replicants, aren't terribly subtle.
What do you mean? Like,
well, with replicants, they can kind of blend in with humanity for a while until, they're outed. With boomers, it's like you look at them a little funny and suddenly they start shooting at you.
Well, they didn't establish any. I don't know. They didn't establish them as anything else. So it's just like, here they are, just these crazy robots. But anyway, this is it for me, man. Like, as far as anime goes, this is exactly what I'm here for. Like, wholly, completely, just this is it. It may be the most, like, I don't know, back in my day thing about me is like this kind of anime. There is something so undeniably special about this. I dare anybody to watch this and be like, no, man, we had it going on back then. There's no question. I don't know how you feel about that, like just that whole intro, but like, that's anime to me.
It sure is. It is anime, and I mean, they do, they keep being anime right afterward because, they shoot up the boomer in the intro, and right afterward, Pris is done with her concert and she's getting a burger, because, anime, but I guess here it really is a burger. They're going, and then, Officer McSwagger's done with his job and he's trying to pick up the girl, like, hey, baby, you want a burger? It's like, I already got one. It's like, so we're already establishing, the pervy cop and the sassy protagonist, and we're not wasting too much time here.
When he comes to her rock shows at the bar called Hot Legs, she sings at a bar called Hot Legs. It is not a strip club, Steve.
It's I don't know how that works, but 2032 is a wildly different time than ours.
Oh, look, I'm sure you can find a bar called Hot Legs in LA right now, right? That is not a strip club.
That is not a strip club?
Yeah.
I'll have to take your word for it. I can't afford to take a flight right
now. I don't know, man. It's but yeah, she basically tells him being Leon, the cop in question, to basically go fuck a boomer, and then she speeds off on her bike.
Pretty much.
What does she say? She's like, well, you'd have a better time with one of them in bed or something. I don't know. She says something sassy and just like leaves. It's like, okay.
It's very anime as fuck.
But he smiles at her like as she leaves, like, ooh, I like that. It's like, dude must be into humiliation or something, because like he liked that. But no. And then, so I don't know. So basically the Bubblegum Crisis is like, centers around these four girls called the Night Sabers. Pris, our protagonist, is one of the Night Sabers. So eventually they get hired by this Space Defense Force American man from something called the USSD. I don't remember United States. It's got to be something United States, something. I don't think they ever said, but.
And remember, it's the 80s, so, well, never mind the 80s. It's anime, so Americans are either in the military, really fat, or from Texas. So,
or a combination of all three, which is, well, this dude definitely a 2 out of 3. He was the middle-aged, large, balding man, like decorated in military medals. Like I don't know why that was the caricature back then, but that I love that shit. That's everyone knows I love Japanese caricatures of American caricatures done by the Japanese. I mean, it's so good.
So, we have to do the whole moping of the girls at their day jobs. That she's we already know Pris is a rocker. Another one is an aerobics instructor, I think.
Yes.
The youngest one works police dispatch, and the other one is and the main one who actually does research on the robot suits we see on the cover. We don't find out till later is a lingerie salesperson.
Oh yeah. Do you like how it was
like that she has a store and everything?
Well, it was like they were talking. They go straight from I don't know, this one scene straight into the lingerie store where someone's looking at see-through panties. Like one of them is picking it up. Ooh, look at these or something. It's okay, I guess.
But they're broke, and Mr. Military Man's like, we have a job. We need you to find this man and this girl. They are totally not robots. They are totally going to be killed by these other robots. Can you do it? We got 20 million space doubloon credits for you. Okay.
They never did say the kind of money, right? They never said credits. They never said dollars. They never said yen. It was just 20,000 or 20 million. It never said I mean, if you caught it, I didn't hear any
I don't know. In the future, I always assume it's credits until I'm corrected.
Well, me too, but almost said Tokyo Recall. Total Recall actually says credits and some other stuff. I think Running Man actually says credits. Anyway, at its core, with these 4 girls and everything, this is basically to me like a super duper high concept magical girl show with mecha in the cyberpunk setting. I know it sounds weird, but it works. Is that a fair assessment? If we want to go past just saying it's cyberpunk?
It's spot on.
Okay.
To its core, that's what this is.
But yeah, I love how sassy, they really establish how sassy Pris is, especially to Leon in that first scene, because she's like, I hate the police, especially the AD police. She just looks at him through her helmet. It's like, yo, based, bitch.
Do we even see other cops?
We do not. We only see the AD police.
So...
But anyway, this sort of culminates in this thing where it's I don't know, the American man gives him a job. Oh, you need to save this little girl, and it's no, I don't. Come on, what is this really? The little girl turns out to be just a boomer, you know what I mean? But it's just shaped like a little girl. They're just using her for experiments or whatever. And
the guy who kidnapped her was also a robot. Big surprise.
Big surprise. But then one of the machines at the warehouse site turns into a giant boomer. I can't believe they did that in episode 1. That was kind of they don't really do that again in the series. They kind of blew that on episode. I guess they wanted to make a big impression, but it feels like that's something that would happen later on.
This is where I start questioning. Did they have an 8-episode order from the start, or
they had a 13-episode order from the start? They had a 13-episode order. It only went 8.
Okay.
So, what? You're shaking your head what?
No, because as we'll go on, things like the giant robot feel okay, this is the end of the thing, and
no, they do a lot of ends of the things. Anyway, that's about it for the first episode. Just a really good first impression. But did you like when she was Pris gets knocked off her motorcycle on the freeway? And by the way, she's like, "Don't you assholes know how to crash properly?" Or I don't know what she said. And then she's she sees some other guy talking on a payphone. She's she takes his motorcycle. She's like, "I'll bring it back." She never brings it back.
Oh. I'm sure there's plenty of time in between episodes where put up a lost poster sign. Hey, remember when I borrowed your motorcycle? And then the AD police totally helped her return the motorcycle back to the person it belonged to, because that's totally the upstanding citizen Pris is. I'm sure she did not steal that motorcycle and harvest it for parts. Nope.
Okay. Nope, not at all. Not at all. She definitely didn't bring it to a certain person later. Um, okay, we got to talk about the music, or I guess mostly I have to talk about the music while you stare at me. But I would like you to help me out here because the music in Bubblegum Crisis is so good. It's not just good in quality; it's just incredible. Like it's so evocative of a moment in time, and which is what the best music does. Like a lot of people, I don't know. You know how like people always describe music as dated. Well, it's dated, but it's still good. Dated is good to me in music. Music should sound exactly like the time period it's from. Dated is a good thing. And look, this sounds like 1987, like songs with vocals like score like this very high quality action and like other moody synths and like spare drum tracks or just like sort of like regular BGM during dialogue and whatever. Blade Runner influence again. But Steve, you gotta, I mean, look, I know I'm the music guy around here, but these like slabs of 80s rock cheese, like at least one or two per episode, if not threes or four sometimes. They gotta do something for you, surely.
No, they were very appropriate for what we were watching. It's not like that's something I'll talk to Andre about on the side when he goes, Steve, I can't believe you don't like music on the same sexual spiritual level I do. And then I'll say something like, well, I like music when it's in things, in the context of the thing of things as a in movies and games and things, and that's what Bubblegum Crisis is. I like it. I liked it while I was watching the things. It fit the spirit and mood of the show, and I don't think I was gonna go out to, if I was watching this in the '90s. I don't think I was going to go to my catalog and find this on cassette tape for my listening pleasure later. But you know, I liked watching it. I liked it when it was on.
Okay.
I didn't poop. I'm not going to poo-poo the music.
Did you think it was not strange, but like all the vocals are in English? Surely re-recorded for us. So here's the thing about that, though. That's something we did back then. And again, going back to Record of Lodoss War and like other OAVs from the time, they re-recorded those like opening and closing songs in English. Like that was the thing to do. They didn't give us the Japanese stuff. We got an English equivalent. We kind of stopped doing that at some point, because people want to hear the Japanese music, or I don't know what happened, but we sort of changed the society. We don't really do that anymore. But back in the day we did, and Bubblegum Crisis, that was the perfect time to do this. So clearly all these songs were redone in English vocals. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with that. I just thought that was worth mentioning because like if this even came out like in 1995, I don't feel like that would have been the case. But
no, I feel like most things after a certain time, even in the '90s, retain their Japanese themes and whatever else vocalize.
Yeah, but I like that they went the extra mile for it. Did you know, for all 8 episodes of Bubblegum Crisis, there is an album, a separate fucking CD for each one? There are 8 soundtracks to this thing. 8.
God bless.
I mean, can you imagine back then? Like, did they sell? I bet they sold like special packages, like at the store. Like you get this, and you could, pay a little more, and get the CD too, right? Like it had to have been all tied in. And guess what? If I were at the right age at that time, and I were in Japan, boy, let me tell you, I would have been doing that shit.
I'm sure you would have.
Oh my god, the money we would have spent. God, we joked on a recent episode of the main show where it's like, can you imagine if we were like this age in like 1988 and we had money to buy like a TurboGrafx CD or like whatever, we could actually spend money on that shit? Do you know like what our lives would be like? I mean, God, this is the same thing. Anyway, I really just the music in this anime is just so key to, and I like that it's not just music. Pris is a singer. She's in a rock band called Pris and the Replicants, as we previously established. So it's thematically appropriate as well. All right, we're gonna take a break and we'll be right back with more episode talk. All right, everybody, we're back. Man, episode 2. I feel like I'm going to say this every time, Steve, but like, goddamn, this opening song is amazing. Like, you like the 80s, bitch? Like, here it is.
I gotta say, I wasn't expecting an elaborate musical opening all the time, but I sure got one.
Yeah, and then they kept it up. And so, I don't know, this episode 2 starts with, like, more city footage, and then, like, the USSD American commander guy giving, like, that lip service apology on TV, like, for the way, like, we're sorry about the big boomer and the little girl boomer and everything. Please forgive us.
We are sorry we leveled the port. It will not happen again.
Basically. Oh yeah, did you like Lena's aerobics montage to that bitch and synth pop music too? That was so 80s. It was ridiculous, man. I loved it.
I think the fact that her job as an aerobics instructor is 80s as fuck.
Oh yeah. Like that was the thing to do back then. I mean, the leg warmers and all that shit was like a look, right? I don't know. Aerobics was like a big deal, like starting at the beginning of the 80s. Like we had this, I may be Mandela affecting this or something, but I swear to God, in my household, we had like tapes called like Mousercise, like it was Mickey Mouse aerobics. I swear to God, I feel like this is a thing.
I am sure something akin to that exists, because when I was walking around the aisles of, my mother was district manager for Blockbusters in the 90s, and I was in a lot of stores, so I walked a lot of aisles and I've seen a lot of tapes. I didn't watch all of them, but the things I saw covers of is ridiculous.
These were like cassette tapes, though. I'm sure there was like VHS. These were like actual like cassette tapes you put in your radio. Yeah, there was like music and Mickey Mouse.
And then he comes on and he's like, "Come on, boys and girls, stretch out your tails."
Basically, yeah. But to your point, though, I wouldn't be surprised if there was an actual like later on like VHS tapes of it. Anyway,
boy.
But yeah, aerobics, everybody. So like, I don't know, this kind of starts out weird. There's like that guy from the first one who was with the kidnapped little girl, some big surprise. But then he's with like someone who I wrote in the notes as like Rich Lady, her name, but like really it's just Cher. It's Cher, right? Like
pretty much.
And then like Cher slaps somebody down the stairs, this lady who's like protesting them, and then Pris goes up to slap her, and then it hurts her hand. Oh no, Rich Lady's a boomer.
I mean, yeah, this is what the replicants that they're obviously inspired by. The boomers aren't very well hidden.
No.
Like he's obviously a human given the apology, but it's not just Cher. I think there's like another one standing there too. It's like, oh gee, oh golly whiz, I wonder if that other tall lady with the shoulder pads is also a boomer.
Well, but they pull the same thing in episode 3, I think, like where I don't know, someone hits somebody with a pipe or something, some regular looking person. It's like, oh no, it's a boomer. They like pulled the same, pulled the same trick. Anyway, this enters the Genom Corporation, right? The big bad corporation,
who is actually making all the fucking boomers.
Yep. Good and bad. So, who's our character of the week, Steve?
This lady, Irene, who is mad at them for reasons, and at the beginning of the episode there was like some other incident where her boyfriend gets killed, and now we have to be concerned that
yeah.
So now it is now we the audience have to feel super bad for Irene, who we just met. It's like, oh no, my boyfriend's dead. I just want closure. Okay, we'll investigate. Well, as we keep bringing up, what killed Irene's boyfriend? Boomers.
Imagine that.
I mean, it's boomers all the way fucking down in this episode.
But what about the super boomers?
Oh, see, that's what was being covered up. That what Irene's boyfriend was inspecting. See, they go on this investigation, and it's this big red super boomer. And here I am thinking, oh man, how the girls going to get out of this one? It's already, maybe they'll have a hard time. And then I think it's Celia just goes over and rips off its head, like, oh, okay, that's the super boomer episode. but Irene dies along the way. I think.
Yeah,
I like one of the Galbots like slashes Irene and licks the blood or whatever that is.
Oh yeah, the classic anime move. Yeah, just ooh, I'm so evil. I'm gonna lick the blood off your face. Yeah, that kind of. I love that shit. I love that classic anime shit sometimes.
And then but so they uncover everything, but Irene dies. Oh no! And then the episode ends. They just transition to her grave, and then they play very inappropriately upbeat music, and then the episode's over.
Look, man, they say the ballads. They do have ballads, right? But they didn't do that in this one. They played a hard ass rockin' fun tune, man. But there's lots of fun moments in this episode, though, because like, okay, enter Black Cop, Leon's boss, basically.
Oh,
and because Leon is like, "Come on, are you blind? Genome is developing super boomers," and police chief is like, "Bullshit! That's just a hunch, Leon." They're just like arguing back and forth. They're like, I don't know, supposed to be some sort of odd couple, I guess, but that's fun. This also begats weird gay sex jokes between Leon and another lieutenant who enters the picture. His name is Daly. Who propositions him to release some tension at the hotel with him or something like that. And at this point in the series, I couldn't tell if that was just a joke or not, but we find out later that it's not. But I guess we'll talk about that later.
Oh.
Anyway, but that comes later. Anyway, but I thought it was funny after everything goes down. There's like a very quick throwaway line as the episode is fading out, where you just hear some voice going, "Commander Schwartz of the scandal-plagued USSD announces resignation," and he was never heard from again. You never see the American big guy again. He's gone.
Oh no, yeah, not him anyway.
yeah. There's the other American big boys into the picture, but not him. Yeah, but they so unceremonious. They gave the girls their first job that we ever see on camera, and then he's just shuffled off into the bed. It's like, bye. Boy, we start out episode 3 with a bang, huh? On the freeway of love.
Well, why are we on the freeway? Combat boomers are on the freeway. Aren't they all fucking combat boomers? We haven't seen a single boomer do something that isn't... Show me one nonviolent boomer on this show.
They won't.
Just show me one planting flowers or
nope.
or making me a pizza or something.
Nope, all evil.
Something that doesn't involve stabbing me in the throat.
By the way, like, speaking of Astral Chain, isn't this the most Astral Chainy like freeway sequence? You remember those parts of it? Yeah. They definitely got that shit from Bubblegum Crisis. There's no doubt.
I mean that they borrowed a lot of the sequences from RoboCop here, so
Oh yes, of course.
Everyone's getting inspired by everything in this art.
Mm-hmm.
What is art if we're not getting inspired by everything, right?
But yeah, it was someone was very proud of their like intro scene that showed like the policeman getting blown to bits, like Ed 209 style. Remember that close up shot? It's like and like the bullets are. It's the exact same thing. Speaking of RoboCop, that's exactly what they were doing. And like, and at this point, I finally had the first thought of like, why are the boomers going on rampages, and why are the Night Sabers doing doing stuff. I mean, quite frankly, it doesn't really matter the origins. I don't really care that much, but it's funny that they didn't even try to explain it at that point. It's just like, or at any other point, really. They're just there.
See, if I was younger, I would have been like, I'm here making all these boomers. You'd think someone would take them to account. But here I am today where, there's just a handful of corporations actually ruling the world. I'm like, oh, wait, I get it now.
Well, the thing I liked the most about episode 3 was that you get to see like the large, like pollution spewing network of, remember, because they showed like there's a city, right? There's Mega Tokyo, then there's that big open space, and then there's like the big industrial black buildings and shit.
Yeah, well, it's not just that. We get to see just the sort of it's not just that. We get to see the rest of the world that the girls have to deal with. It's not just, oh boy, here are the boomers, let's go shoot them. There's a lot of it's a lot of bullshit with red tape and who has a suspended license and corporate mergers and it's a lot of bureaucratic bullshit and there's a system they have to deal with.
all stuff, all the people get to suffer, huh? Same old story, right?
It's the same shit, Andre.
Yep. Well, tell us the sad story of the week, Steve.
So,
this is a real downer, honestly.
Chris becomes the cool aunt to a kid in the neighborhood. And, he finally meets her mom, or she didn't meet her mom before, but we're only meeting his mom for the first time. And she has this brief, wistful speech about, one day I've been saving up money and we'll move to the countryside. And, you know what that means. She's going to die horribly in a scene or two.
Yep.
And wouldn't you know it, Corp is it announces eminent domain, which means, okay, you all have 2 seconds to leave this apartment. And wouldn't you know it, shows mom dies. Isn't that a...
Trying to run back in. Episode? She was trying to run back in and save something. I don't remember what, but
I think the nest egg was in there or something.
Yeah, they needed the money. Yeah. God damn. Being immediately, I mean, like, that would seem so comically, like, evil and callous, except the times we live in are really, I mean, not too far off, honestly, or at least it doesn't feel like it is. So you could say, oh, she ran back in for money. God damn, that money means more than anything, right? You got to have it. She may as well have been dead if she didn't try to get it.
But Andre, it's okay. You know why it's okay?
Okay.
Because right after that, it's time to suit up, which means brief anime titty.
Oh, we get our titty. I was like, I thought they were gonna have to make us wait till like episode 7 to see Pris's tits, but no, they give us it.
It's however brief, and given the medium, you can just pause it if you're that sort of person.
I mean, I was that sort of person when you know what? Never mind.
And remember, they got to do revenge by the book because of all that red tape and shit we saw earlier. And then this time they do find the short Genom spokesman we found before. He has his own robo-suit, and this weird feral advanced boomer like they had in the previous episode, but he's just let loose on him, and they kill him, and then Celia just stabs the guy in the throat.
Oh, yes. It was so hardcore. I was not expecting that shit. It's like, again, going back to RoboCop, that's how he kills what's his name, right? The guy. That's how he kills him.
And, that's the main representative of Genom that we see. And, that's the end of Bubblegum Crisis. We never have to deal with anything bad ever again.
Episode 3, done. Series over.
I don't know why we ordered 12 episodes of this to wrap it up.
Oh, my God. Do you like how they, like, painstakingly drew his reflection in his own pool of blood? Like, when the... like, that was so fucking cool. That was so cool. Honestly, that was great. You usually have to wait, like, oh, no, the bad guy got away. No, not this time. They give you exactly what they wanted. But, yeah. Okay. We got to talk about the dub, Steve.
Yes, we do.
We watched this in English, because that's what... We watched this on Tubi. So that's what Tubi had, so that's what we watched. Dubs are fine, especially old ones, for me, anyway. That's my opinion. Usually. But in this case, Okay, I'll start by saying this. I know you're the voice acting guy. You have stuff to say, but let me just start here. To me, there was a certain level of care and like quality that went into this stuff and productions in the 80s through like the early 90s. As of this recording, you are playing East Book 1 and 2 on TurboGrafx CD, right? Like you are hearing the quality in that dub. You know, it still holds up. It's old. It's a little cheesy.
Yes, there's cheese, but it's fine.
Yeah. And like it's very high quality, but this started to slip as the 90s went on. And this dub was produced in 1994 by Animego. Speaking of names I haven't heard in forever. And Bubblegum Crisis is in the slip period. Okay, Steve, go off.
Look, I'm not gonna make this the total why I hate this thing, because you know what? The main cast is fine. The four of them, for a 90s production, they sound perfectly fine. Leon sounds fine for what this production is. Once we start moving on to other characters, we start ranging from, well, at least they tried, to, well, they just put a mic in the room and just recorded everyone saying the line for the first time while reading the script. Like the Mega Man X4 general reading that I like to point out every so often.
You know, that's a good comp, actually. It does sound like they did one take. If they don't straight up flub lines like Mega Man 8 or something like that, where they just straight up mess stuff up, but it's like they didn't spend a lot of time on this. There was no redos.
Sometimes that latter part actually works, because as we're going to find out, there's these there's this one lady who is secretly a boomer, and she's trying to hide it. So what her sounding panicky and doing things in only one line actually kind of fits that sort of thing. But then even Daly, where you said you had a hard time picking up whether that was really flirting or not, and later on there is more actual flirting. Daly is obviously gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's fine. We're a liberal-minded podcast. The inflection does not match the animated flirting on screen at all. And what makes it worse is that Leon's actor is like faux flirting back with Daly. So It's like, so hey, after this, I'm gonna maybe we'll go out and we'll have some fun. I was like, you bet, sport. It's like it doesn't match.
No, it doesn't match at all. The thing that stuck out to me was purple hair lady. I don't really know her name, but she was like, when she first appeared, she sounded like really Irish, right? And then it kind of slipped into this like continental mid-century accent kind of thing. And then sometimes it was like weird German. It was weird. But then like she went back to Irish. It was, I don't know. It was all over the place. Plus, like, I don't know, like you said, a lot of the incidental characters just have weird muttering voices, just kind of like, where are the girls now? They're on the screen right here, sir. Put them on there. You know, it's weird.
We need to make sure the boomers make our primary fiscal target of 3 months from now. But can we do that and appease the rest of the shareholders? I don't know.
Yeah, it's very whispery. That's exactly it. I do feel like, you can do what you want with the word lucky in this instance, but we are lucky to be hearing this dub, because typically on streaming services, they just do subs because they, the rights to the voice actors from before, blah, 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 that can be a thing sometimes. So typically we just get, for old anime, we just get subs. But we're hearing the dub of this one, which is interesting. I think that's cool. I don't know if we're better for it, but we are hearing it. Okay. Episode 4, Steve, is about road rash.
Better get that checked. Do they have a cream for that in 2032?
Oh, they have a cream for everything, as well as, medical science has advanced. So, I mean, you're telling me you didn't think road rash though while you were watching this whole thing? I mean, it's basically all I thought about.
Well, I was fairly hung up early on when they were at dispatch or whatever, like recording the calls of the car doing whatever. What do you mean that black car?
It's like, okay, what is this, Shenmue? Like, what? Or the Devil Z? That's a joke just for Vin. I don't know, man. It's something. But there was one character you called him. I called him Dr. Wily, but you like Dr. Mechanic. I thought he was basically Dr. Wily.
I mean, he was a fun character for Pris to play off of. We see how she's able to, what she's doing with all these motorcycles we're stealing from the other episodes or what have you. And, it'd be a real shame if he gets killed. Spoiler alert, he doesn't, but we never see him again after this, so he might as well have gotten killed in this episode.
But he's a Nobel Peace Prize winner. His jacket says so.
Yeah, his jacket says so.
We can't kill him.
Uh,
This episode was a little weird. It was like a lot of disconnected scenes at first. They're eating dinner, they're teasing each other about boyfriends, and they're calling Pris calls Dr. Wily Pops like 1,400 times, and he hates it. So they're calling him, whatever his real name is. Before we get back to Road Rash, aka the Devil Z, like it takes, I don't know, it meanders a bit.
well, we had to do a little bit of magical girl anime stuff by having Nene complain about, oh, I don't want to do jobs. I want to have boyfriends. And what about my dreams for the future? And maybe something else about wearing a dress. I don't know. I'm the baby of the group. Pay attention to me.
Oh, she's the baby. Oh, she's the baby, all right. So, I don't know, man. Like, did you hear? Oh, and then they had that, like, I like the training montage they had. The paintball. Jamming ass music during that. Some more cool synth pop. That was fucking cool. Anyway, we finally, I think not too long in, we find out who Road Rash's driver is, black car driver. This is a really weird story.
Well, it gets weirder because, when Pris like chases after him and then wrecks the bike again and she's just moaning in pain. I don't know what the voice direction for that was, but it didn't sound like she was moaning in pain.
Well, her voice direction in general just sounded, they basically just told her to be a bitch, I think, is like all they really said to her. So it's just like, okay, I'm going to sound like, whatever. And that's the only mode that she had. So yeah, I think when they said, okay, now moan in pain, it's like, how do I moan like a bitch?
Oh, she moaned like a bitch.
In heat? No, but
this dub.
It's ridiculous, man, this dub. Anyway, I wanted to say before you kind of wrap up what happened here, like, what is the deal with this Gibson guy? Anyway, is he supposed to be like mentally unstable? Remember that scene where he empties an entire gun clip at the wall for no reason, while his very ill sister or whatever just kind of sits there and shrieks like she's scared? Of course she would be. And then at one point he calls Dr. Widely on the phone. He's like, "Oh, I know it's you, Gibson. I know it's you." And then he like punches the phone dead. Like, it doesn't say anything. I don't understand what the deal was with this guy. Like, it's supposed to be just general.
I thought they were both I thought they were both in an accident or something, and that's what all this was. That they
okay, but why is he acting so like crazy, for lack of a better term? Like, what?
I don't know. I would normally say it's boomers. It's boomers all the way down, Andre. But was there even a boomer in this episode?
There was no boomers in this episode. It was a boomerless episode.
He has a spiritual sexual mind meld with the car, but
that was fucking crazy. What the hell was that? He if any of you out there have seen Pacific Rim, like he becomes one with the car. It's weird, except he didn't need a partner. It was really, what the hell was that, man?
No words.
Yeah, just like I don't even know. I don't know. So he just drives. I guess
I'm fine with using the keys in my car, Andre. I don't know about everyone else.
You don't put on a helmet and become one with on the spiritual sexual level with your car, and then like
I drive a 2003 Honda Accord, Andre. I don't think I need such a connection.
Okay. I don't know, man. So I guess he gets in the car with his ill sister who was in an accident, and then they're just driving around very unsafely.
We got to get out of here. Not necessarily telling her where. You're like, not we're leaving town. Like, we got to get out of here. And here happens to be wherever we can just cause the most carnage and draw out the lightsabers and have them stop the car, of which P was fused to, and
I don't know, man. It was weird. What was that thing with the car being okay? Because like one of the night probably Priss swoops in and saves Gibson and the girl from the car, Naomi. I don't remember her name. And so, but then, so the car's unoccupied, but then the car starts doing crazy car stuff by itself. And then, like, I don't know if Daly or somebody or Leon was like, maybe the car was possessed by his own, like one of those like philosophical things. Maybe it still it had something it needed to do still or whatever. You remember this, right? I'm not making this up. This happened.
The car still needed to pick up that gallon of milk.
The car forgot to turn in its scratchers at the liquor store. Oh man, but I don't know. This is kind of a weird hangover an episode. We killed the big bad last episode, so badass with the RoboCop stab, right? And then we have Road Rash. There was no boomers. It was like, I don't know, cool car chase at the end though, and cool ballad at the end too. You finally get that simmering pop rock ballad that I was waiting for. Like that's in this episode. So that was cool. It's not like it was a total loss, but it definitely, I don't know, probably the weakest episode out of these 8, if you ask me.
Probably. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Anyway, but episode 5 begins with probably my favorite sequence in the series. This super cool tunnel chase. So fucking cool. Awesome action, cool explosions. Like, just like I said, it's a tunnel thing. Like, we're just imagine a cyber tunnel. I know that sounds vague, but I think everyone knows what I'm saying when I say that. There's a shootout with like the cybernetic. They keep calling it a Doberman. I guess it's a kind of boomer, but they didn't really call it one. And then this girl and their like wounded partner escape on this spaceship, and the crew sort of sacrifices itself fighting off this thing called the Doberman, and they get into the literally a spaceship, and they fly away, and there's like a crazy excellent again song plays. Like, it was so great. I don't even know why they got in the spaceship and flew away, but I don't even care. It was it was excellent. Why isn't every anime like this? This is the best. This is the absolute best.
Well, you did watch the same episode where we do find out what happened, right, Andre? Because it's kind of messed up.
I don't remember. We'll talk about that as we get to it.
Well, eventually the spacecraft reaches Earth, because where the fuck else is it going to go? We're doing the part of the episode where they do the initial investigation from the cops, and it's an SDPC craft, whatever the fuck that is.
I don't think we ever found out. Oh, wait, we did. Space Development Corporation. That's what they called it, but there's no P. That's just 3 letters.
But going into the episode, we don't know what that is.
No, they don't. But it still doesn't make any sense anyway.
But the police are doing the investigation, and all the bit actors, that they hired for the day, or just the janitors or whoever came in, they're all doing their best investigative techniques. Well, it looks like an SDPC craft. What is an SDPC craft? Well, it's a thing that crashed into this thing in some trees. Do you think it really knocked down the trees? I don't really see an engine on this thing. Do you think that guy with the sushi is going to be here for lunch soon? I like sushi. You like sushi? We should really report this to Leon. Who's Leon? Leon's the guy in charge of the investigation. Who's in charge of the investigation?
It's amazing. They go on forever about it, but it's like, hey, but our favorite black cop is back. He hadn't been seen since episode 2. I thought they were just going to be a one shot. He's back.
Thank God. He's going to get everyone in line, because probably unrelated to this case. No, it's all related. There's a vampire on the loose.
Oh, this is my favorite episode, by the way. I'm just going to say it now. It is. It's so good.
And everyone's fucking horny.
Everyone's horny. So, like, the gay jokes from episode 2, like I said, between Leon and Daly, those were not jokes. Those are for real. For what it's worth, Leon never really tells Daly to fuck off. He didn't say, like, when he propositions him, he says, he just said, like, he didn't say no. He said, I have a headache. Or whatever. He's like, he didn't say like, no, I'm not gay, or no, it's like, okay, well then,
Leon is at minimum curious.
I mean, look, what 2 AD police do in the privacy of their own bedroom is none of my business, but that doesn't mean I won't try to be nosy.
So horniness time continues as we go to Hot Legs, which well, we need to reiterate is not a strip club.
I mean, unfortunately. I figured, you figured that's where you would see the tits at Hot Legs, right? But no.
Or some legs at Hot Legs, but
No, we haven't seen any of those either.
we do find Pris's new friend Sylvie, who looks an awful lot like one of the people who made it out of that spacecraft. Isn't that?
That's it, huh? I honestly didn't really think much about that opening sequence. I just thought it was so cool. It blew me away. I didn't really think about she's escaping here. Honestly, I know that sounds stupid to say now, but like I honestly didn't put that together.
And there's some big lesbian energy there too. It's like this. They're talking. She's talking about Sylvie. Sylvie, like she's her best friend. Like we've known her since episode 1. We ride bikes. She does these cool things. She's the best.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Celia, the one we've been with the entire time, she's at a sleazier bar at the other side of town, like with an informant of some kind that being sent on a very unrelated, spoiler alert, it is in fact related, mission where we need to go recover weapons and find a girl that is not in fact Sylvie. It's Sylvie. It's
Did you like when okay, I don't know how to explain the sexoroids part. That's literally what they called them. I'm not just being funny. They're literally called sexoroids. That's what Celia called them.
Yeah.
So Sylvie, not confusing at all. Pris's friend Sylvie is one of such roids.
It sounds like the thing at the beginning was them trying to escape from a colony they were all exiled from, because when Nene is doing police research or whatever that is, they're like, "Oh, they haven't made these in years. They decommissioned the factory after they all needed to subsist off of blood to survive." And which is where our vampire was coming from, and somehow AD Police wasn't putting that together until this episode for whatever reason.
Yeah, but like I just love how like Nene after well, she's talking on the video phone because, of course, because 2032 to Nene, Celia. Sorry, I keep wanting to merge Sylvie and Celia into Sylvia. I don't know why I keep wanting to do that. Celia is talking to Nene on the video phone. That looks very 80s. And then, like, she's telling Nene, oh, they were originally designed to be sexoroid toys. And this leads to Nene just swooning over Sylvie at the Hot Legs bar. Ooh, did you see her earlier? She was so hot and whatever. And I'm like, this is the gayest episode ever. This is great. It's excellent.
Well,
everyone just decided to just show, hey, everyone's.
Well, they don't even think she's a robot at first. They just think she's hot.
Yeah, they just think she's hot. So it's like it's great. So
although there's that scene the next day where the weird dubbing actually works out, where Sylvie starts acting a little weird around Pris. Like, there's that cat that walks up and hates her because she's a robot, and she's like, it's like, so we'll hang out later at the bar or whatever. Like, yes, Sylvie is free. Sylvie is free. That's great. We'll see you there. Sylvie is free. Free.
It didn't make any sense, man. What? Okay, back to the vampire part. I know we forgot about that, but like basically Sylvie has to suck blood to stay alive. Why did they make the blood sucking part sexy? Because like
anime, Andre, anime.
Well, like, okay, look, I'm not complaining, but it was like, it was night, and her friend Henri, I don't even think we talked about her. I don't know. They're just sitting on the bed. She like takes down the side of her blouse there. It's shot like an R&B video, like, but she's about to suck her blood, and she does, and she's like, well, I don't want to do this anymore because we need to find a program so we don't have to do this anymore. A program is going to fix them. I know it doesn't make any sense, but that's what the mission of this episode is, basically. And then the music is sexy during that part too, of course, because, well,
Well, I think the other element of these sexoroids is that they seem to have a bit more free will than the boomers we've met so far, which were all under the control of some handler of some kind. These sexoroids are mostly operating under their own free will, which is,
mostly.
Let's talk about any sort of thing we've ever watched or played where the robots have their own free will. That's fucking dangerous.
Anyway, I think what happens, Sylvie gets in this mech that has a detonation to blow up the city. Pris has to kill Sylvie so it doesn't happen or whatever, right? And yada, yada, yada. But then she delivers a disc that Sylvie actually did get, the program, to Henri, so she become, quote unquote, real. It's basically how it goes down, I guess.
That's pretty much what happened. This would have been a lot sadder if we knew Sylvie for more than an episode.
Well, I mean, but she was hot, okay? So that's all that matters in this world. Anyway, I don't know. Definitely my favorite episode. I can't say enough good things about it. Maybe 7 is like up there too, just because I love the America episode. We'll talk about that though.
Oh my God.
Sometime after we come back from this. Steve, look out. There's a boomer right behind you.
I don't care what you... there's nothing you're going to make me turn around for, so you can take the rest of my bubblegum under.
Oh, but you said you don't have any Bubblicious. I don't even want it. It's the only bubblegum I like.
Yeah, I know, but I don't need you taking my orange trident to sell for ridiculously marked up prices. Do they still make that? I don't chew gum.
I don't know. It's been a while. I'm kind of a sporadic gum chewer. I used to chew it a lot more. I don't know. I don't know. I figure if you were a gum chewer, I'd peg you for a juicy fruit guy.
I used to be, and then they stopped really. You start chewing it, and then it runs out of flavor in like 2 minutes. And
yeah, it runs out really fast.
That's the real Bubblegum Crisis.
Why is that funny? That should not be funny at all. Holy shit.
Maybe it's my delivery. I don't know.
I hate that I laughed at that. All right. Before we move on to episode 6, let's talk about the technology, because that's always the interesting part of cyberpunk, right? Especially the time when it's made. The 1987 idea of what technology would be like in 2032, only 10 years from now, is obviously wildly different than what we actually have already, right?
Always fun.
Always fun. So, like, I think the weird thing about the 80s is that they thought, like, analog stuff would still be a thing. I think they didn't really think we'd be as digital as we are. There's so many floppy disks and like landlines, right? And like stuff like that. It's stuff that is already long gone. So they just didn't perceive the digital and wireless stuff at all.
Let's just get the video phone out of the way, because not just Bubblegum Crisis. There was a lot of anime that tried positing itself like in a technologically advanced time. Even Pokemon had video phones that relied on a landline, but you could, with these giant ass terminals, but you could pick up the phone and see the other person on the other side. And that was going to be that was some wild ass sci-fi shit that we just skipped right over in the advent of smartphones.
Oh yeah, we completely bypassed. Like, maybe I guess they thought it would come along slower than it would. Oh, we got to have the video terminal phone before we have the smartphone with the hand. No, it's gone. We already went way past that.
Epcot had some, I guess you'd call it a prototype, where you could play with that sort of thing, and in the future section. But that was obviously a toy where you dialed the number and picked up the other side. That obviously never made it anywhere.
But like, yeah, the visual alarm clock, like you said, with the thing, and it's like literally a chirping bird loud at your computer. Yeah, some people might use a computer for an alarm, but that's pretty rare. But then her I don't know. Then she goes over to like the daily newspaper terminal and picks a newspaper, and then it prints out paper out of this terminal so she can read the newspaper. She doesn't read it on the computer or on a device. She prints the newspaper.
There is a lot of fucking paper in the year 2032.
Yeah.
Later on, we have a slightly fluffier episode where we see Nene's day-to-day at the police station, and there's a side plot where, okay, you need to catch up on your work, and they just hand her binders and stacks of wood pulp paper that she needs to fill out by hand and stuff into files and things. And even when she's helping Leon find past cases, she's going into file cabinets and not a computer to find this shit.
Yeah, it's wild, man. There's a lot of paper, and I didn't realize that until you said so, but yeah. And then there was something she also Celia, when they show young Celia and her brother Mackie, in episode 1, some sort of flashback thing, and and Mackie hands her something that looks like a very large VHS tape, but it's like a data disc, but it's the size of a, well, no, a Betamax is smaller than a VHS, right? It's huge, is my point. And it's very VHS looking, and it's we don't have anything like this. We haven't had anything like this in over 20 years.
There was those other tapes in the police archive where they had the adapters that plugged into the other thing. And remember that, when we had to plug tapes into other tapes to...
Yeah.
And even that is something we skipped right past once we figured out how discs how much shit we could stuff onto a disc.
In the episode we're about to talk about, there's this wall of flat panels, and that was a thing back then. You think about Total Recall, where they're watching TV and the aspect ratio changes, depending on what they're watching. When Sharon Stone flips it to that nature show and it's all whatever, and it becomes Darius all of a sudden. It becomes 3 screens. But yeah, you remember that. Also, I wanted to know what you thought of, also coming up in this episode, is the International Post Office disc letter. That was something. That was an idea. I tell you what. It looks like a postcard, right? But there's a disc part at the bottom.
Yeah, what do you play that on? I'm just
you just shove the whole thing, and half of it's sticking out of your floppy disk drive or something.
Just shove that in my floppy drive in 2032, and
yeah, that was a weird one. Leon's tape deck in his truck, that's a weird one, because it's I think he was getting information on the case he was about to do, or an address actually, but instead of having GPS, he just puts in a data disk into his truck, and then it shows an address. So they didn't predict GPS at all.
And didn't GPS technically establish itself right before 2000?
Yeah, I mean, it had existed for a long time in government capacity, but for us lamos, yeah, not for a while. Do you remember the weird in between period of our lives, the mid 2000s, before everyone had smartphones, but we had GPS? You had to buy a GPS thing at Best Buy or whatever to put in your car. You had to buy a GPS device.
Oh yeah, the Garmins. That's who made most of them.
I don't remember. I just remember seeing them.
They were Garmin was they were the beeper manufacturer of GPS systems. They were too big to fail. Everyone's gonna want a GPS forever. We don't need to pivot into other technology.
Not at all. Nobody will ever. How else will they get their GPS? They have to come to us. Boy. The only other technology thing that I really stuck out to me that I wanted to say was a few episodes later that we haven't talked about yet. Celia talks on this cell phone that's a fucking triangle. It's an isosceles triangle. That she holds up. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's
yes.
it's what was
Sci-fi
that?
Shit.
Yeah, it was so weird. Oh, one more. It was a weird Game Boy almost, someone was using. It was it looked like a Game Boy. It said Toshiba actually, and it was
what was that for?
They were showing like I think that was when they were showing like the spider spider bot, right?
I just gotta say, I'm looking at this Toshiba Game Boy thing a bit closer, and I'm just trying to figure out how you even would make this function just do the things it does, because yeah, you don't see the whole thing in this shot, or maybe any shot you would take of this, but you got 3 minus buttons on a triangular pattern going on, and another wider minus button that might go lean things left or right, and I wouldn't even know how to. I feel like the thermostats I operate at work have more inputs in this.
Yeah, the ideas were grand, but the inputs were still primitive because they would not know nowadays that, well, because like it doesn't appear anything in this universe is a touch screen either, right?
No, I didn't see any.
Yeah, so that's one thing they also didn't do. Everything has knobs and buttons and everything still. Okay, but anyway, let's move on. So, episode 6. The lightsabers are doing crime, Steve.
What? No.
I saw them. It was the lightsabers.
Not Pris and Nene and the other two.
Lena, I think. Lena? The
aerobics lady?
Yeah, I think. I notice we haven't said her name so far because it doesn't even fucking matter.
It's sad how very little characters actually matter.
Anyway, so like Henri, the lady, the lady Sylvie was vampiring on all sexily, and then Sylvie's dead. So Henri seems to, I don't know, she took that data disk and became a quote unquote real person or something. But then like she gets under the wing of somebody.
Certain Largo. He's fully realized. Boomer, a real boy, as it were. he's running some kind of cult, and he's very much going to take back what is rightfully theirs, whatever that is. It's not entirely clear what his motives are beyond kill all humans, and it really doesn't take too much to convince Henri they killed your friends and lover Sylvie. Don't you want revenge? But Pris was my friend. Was she really your friend? Well, I guess not. It really doesn't take too much for Largo to set off everything he wants to do. We also get our first meeting with the actual Genom CEO, and this is the other questionable voice acting direction I have to bring up, because here I think they just told... They needed a bad guy voice, and I don't know. We need you to be Arnold Schwarzenegger who just ate peanut butter. Okay, I am the guy who is running the corporation. We are making the robots for the money and destroying the people. And there is nothing you can do to stop me. What do you all think you can do to stop me and the corporation?
Are you sure you didn't, in a previous life, voice this guy?
You think I gotta be making... They all owe me royalties if I did.
Anyway, I like going back to the intro real quick. I like the beginning where Henri, you see that she's under Largo's wing, and then he just sort of begins. They're in some like weird church, and he just sort of begins it by going. However, before our dream can come true, we must destroy them. Those bitches who confront us at every turn, the lightsabers. It is like. It is so evil. It's so stupid. It's great. Those bitches who confront us at every turn. That should be on his tombstone. Oh wait, did I spoiler alert?
In every turn, like we only met Henri an episode ago.
Yeah, like, and now she's like,
how many turns have there been? And Largo's operating on his own agenda. He's never pretended to work for Jinnum.
Yeah, like he does what he wants. As we'll see, like actually, let's talk about that now. His plans get fucked up. He pursues all the boomers. We discover he has use of like the Zeus cannon from the sky to zap people. This was established some episodes ago because remember they were talking about satellites being able to zap stuff from space if something goes wrong, yes. Right?
He could just call them at will.
Yeah, he can just call them. And he zapped like a couple of like helicopter AD police helicopters out of the sky. And everyone's like, whoa, what happened? It's because he can control them. So super badass moment. He goes into this boardroom meeting that looks exactly like the room. At the end of between stage 3 and 4 in Ninja Gaiden, you have that long talk with that guy, and he's like, and Ryu's like, if I say no, it's like, the answer to that, right? Or whatever. It's like,
the answer to that, Largo.
It looks like that room. He goes in there, it's like, put all the Jinnum buildings on the screens. I'll show you what I can do. And he starts zapping them one by one, like indiscriminately. Next, Illinois, the USA. It's like, why didn't you just say Chicago, bro? It's the only.
Yeah, they just stuck a tower out on a dairy farm in the middle of Illinois.
Yeah, it's like, come on, we know it's Chicago. Why didn't you just say that? Anyway, but yeah, that was kind of badass, honestly. That was some good flex of like bad guy power, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the CEO's like, is that really the best you can do? We are better than this.
That guy's voice was so stupid. I just kind of put it out of my head. I didn't really think about it this way until your rendition here. Oh my god!
I mean, other stuff happens along the way, like.
The fake lightsabers. So who are they? Just boomers? I kind of forget now. Are they like?
No, they are just boomers. They're like super boomers. They're set up by Largo to try to throw him off the scent.
Okay, that makes
throw the cops off the scent of what he's doing.
Gotcha. A purple hair lady, as I was discussing earlier, she's like, I don't know, she's in cahoots with like a totally different American military man named Callahan, because that's an American name. And then I don't know, like they're in cahoots. He fucks something up. He's supposed to do something he doesn't. So she just kind of kills him without a thought. Just kind of puts a bullet right through him, and it's like, okay, I guess he's dead now.
I'm sorry. This episode's a mess.
This episode's a mess. Basically, what happens is that he becomes like, I don't know. He's convincing Henri to be like evil. Oh, Pris killed Celia. Like, you need to get back at her. She killed, blah, blah, blah. Right?
It's very Palpatine. Let the hate run through you. They killed Sylvie. Pris killed Sylvie. You must kill her to reveal your full robot humanity, or whatever it is we're doing.
And then she tries.
It's just
she stabs Pris, and then it's like, oh no, and then like the real sabers show up to save her, and yada yada, I guess. But here's the thing. Largo falls down like this shaft, and there's like a big explosion, right? They finally kill him at the end. But you skipped
the part where they flip satellite cannons at each other, and he becomes Blue Largo, and then he falls down the chasm.
I forgot about Super Saiyan Largo. Okay, I'm sorry. Jeez.
And then he falls down the pit, and you know what? We gotta mutter her. Then all of a sudden we gotta leave this plot line hanging. Celia Stingray.
Celia's last name is Stingray, because of course.
And then, that totally doesn't mean anything. So like, you know what? No one could survive a fall like that. I'm like, okay, well, firing the Zeus cannon on him didn't cause him to explode. So how dead is he really?
I mean, he was on fire. He did explode. Again, not that means anything, because it's a soap opera death, but it's like, we're just going to ignore that part? He's probably alive. Doesn't matter. But okay, this next episode, God, this might actually be my favorite. I've been chomping at the bit to talk about this. So, like, we open with a day in a location, March 26, 2033, Houston, Texas. We're in America, baby. We're here. Like an absolutely fan-fucking-tastic music intro. I know I keep saying that, featuring like a live music performance on a American music show, basically called World Top 10. Boy, they were sure optimistic, thinking we would have a world chart, huh? No, we don't do it that way. We probably never will.
No.
Nope. We still don't have that, guys. Yeah, so like a live music performance on the background of her performance is like cop shit happening on the background. And there's no good way to say this. This meeting, there's a meeting between Genom, the big boomer corporation, and this American corporation, which is why they're in Houston. So this is some real wildly racist shit. Like, forget about the Americans for a second. Even the Japanese representatives, they gave them their eyes. I mean, I don't want to get too descriptive, but I think you know what I'm talking about here. Like, it was very cringe.
They've excuse me. We've been dealing with Mega Tokyo this entire time, but for some reason we had to send. We couldn't express that by just having them wear the same suit or something. So we needed to make them very
yeah, it was uncomfortable. Maybe
how would an American draw this Japanese person?
yeah. That's kind of what it feels like, huh? But then like the Americans are very delightfully like over the top Texas cowpokes. Like they are just their accents are just
yeehaw.
Ooh, baby. If anyone for some reason knows the Nintendo game arm wrestling and the first person you wrestle Texas Mac, imagine Texas Mac like 30 years in the future, much fatter, retired, still same hat and everything. Just that's what the CEO of this company looks like. I just keep calling him Texas Mac. And then like there's the doctor guy. Oh my god. He at the end of this scene, he's like, I'm looking forward to coming to Japan so I can meet some beautiful geisha girls. It's like, oh baby.
Oh, that's pretty bad, but it gets worse.
When he is in Japan, he is literally ordering hookers on the phone. He's like, no, not another blonde. I'm thinking Oriental this evening. Make sure she's young. He said Oriental, folks. Like, I'm not making that up. Like, I'm not just putting it out there for effect. He literally said Oriental. Like, I just couldn't believe it. Even for like the age that this dub is, 1994, I said, that's still kind of like, oh no, we don't say that anymore. But then the make sure she's young line was heard by the staff that he's calling up because after he hangs up, it's like, we'll send you an incomparable beauty. Oh, about 17 years old. Oh no. So they're trying to establish that this doctor is skeevy, but even for me, it skeeved me, the audience, out, who's usually doesn't get, you know what I mean? Ugh, it was a bit much.
A bit much.
Anyway,
Andre sure likes his musical openings, but you know what? This one was actually important to the plot this time because the lady singing in the opening is Vision, aka Reiko, who is resuming tours after a hiatus under a thinly veiled, but no, not really, mission to get revenge for something we find about very quickly. And wouldn't you know it, that would be the hooker in question that is sent to the room.
Yeah. Do you like how she's like, she shows up and he's like, what's your name? My name is Irene, using her sister's name. Oh, that's a nice name. Immediately cut to her naked in the shower. Immediately cut to her tits. There was no like, it almost felt like a scene was missing. Oh, that's a nice name. Tits. This is rated TV PG, by the way. Can I mention that? I know that like the ratings, especially on like aftermarket like anime that wasn't even out when we had those ratings, that rating doesn't mean anything. But it's like it's clear nobody like looks at this stuff or checks it.
No one cares.
Nope. Anyway,
once the blood pops up, TV PG.
Oh yeah.
So this I just found weird. I'm not going to dwell on this too long. They Vision's going on I'm resuming my tour press conference. And Pris is also a musician, so she's like, who does she think she is?
Oh yeah, she's
I,
pissed. She's
I
pissed.
don't. I just don't like her. Blah blah blah. Who does she think she is? Batman.
She's so mysterious, like Batman, right? And then like someone in line waiting for her concert, I think interviewing in news is like, I have all her CDs and LDs. And it's like, oh, that's so cute. They thought in 2032 we'd still be using those things. Like,
Any of those things.
Yeah, we still don't use them now. They also thought Laserdisc would be a big deal. It's not. It never was.
Oh, those. Sometimes you get it right.
Yeah.
But I guess the CD bar wasn't doing it for Celia last time, because this time we're getting contact information for it's not Vision, but we're gonna have to hunt down. We're getting paid to hunt down Vision on a Ferris wheel. You like that shit where they're just
yeah, they're just in the Ferris wheel talking business, and he explains it. It's like, I just thought nobody would find us here, and he's like, he's right, but like, I mean, I don't know. I guess Ferris wheel it is. Why not? He's the true Charlie of the Charlie's Angels, right? I mean,
I guess.
I thought that would be American Man from the first two episodes, but he resigned in haste. So
in haste is right.
Anyway, but like Black Cop is back again, and he's like, he wants to give Leon and Daly away because he's officially not allowed to, because whatever corporate bullshit, he's not allowed to put him on the case. But then he's like, you guys take a vacation. Oh, by the way, there's a fully loaded copter on the roof. It would be weird if anyone stole it. Definitely don't do that, guys. See you later. So he knows what's up. And I like that.
Wouldn't you know it? They fly the helicopter and they find the offshore whatever. This is Disneyland. I'm not seeing Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They had like weird man-made islands out on the edge of, or I guess maybe they don't have to be man-made. They could just be your typical Japanese islands, but they looked completely boomered over. They looked like a tarmac for like a war planes or something.
And then at some point Reika's whole plan comes to attempted fruition. They kidnap Lena because she recognizes her in a photo of Irene's, and like they lock her in a time released room. I have to get my revenge. You'll be safe. Blah blah blah.
This is after Reiko watches her international post office disc video or whatever of Irene. It's like a weird little, I don't know, put together video of pictures and just like, I can't wait to see you again. It's a postcard. It's a visual postcard, I guess. But
and then they call out, and then she tries to call out the Genom CEO, and he totally plays fair with that. What is it that you want? You killed my sister, Irene. I can't be expected to remember every person I have been responsible for killing.
and then they just what?
Shoot the fuck out of his core, out of this robot that they sent out, because of course he wasn't gonna show up in the middle of the back alley with the helicopter and all the robots.
Yep, and then whatever. Then it's a shootout. That happens. Reika, I forget who says it to her. Give it, super.
You have to live for Irene's sake.
You have to live for her, and then like
This was anime as fuck for the anime that was already anime as fuck.
And then Vision has her concert, dressed as Batman. No, not dressed as Batman. Real quick, though, before we get to the last episode, there was a lot of like really funny English. We talked about some of it, Pris and the replicants and whatever. In this next episode, someone has to hold their breath because a psycho Gus, not gas, but Gus. The side of Pris's motorcycle says Highway Star, which is like an obvious reference to the Deep Purple song. But I don't know. It could be the racing game for Famicom, possibly.
Sounds about the right time.
Do you know what that's called in America, Steve? Highway Star?
I don't.
Come on, take one guess. Late 80s racing game.
Wouldn't be Rad Racer.
It's Rad Racer. It's called Highway Star in Japan.
Of course it is.
For some reason, while she's fighting Sylvie, Pris's combat HUD says struggle combat mode. don't know what they meant by struggle, but it's like, you know, and then Sylvie's mech says suicidal explosion, suicidal, suicidal, which I thought was kind of funny. I don't know. There's all sorts of, usually like anime from this era, the English is very fast and loose. It's just funny to like catch it sometimes. You particularly liked that map of like what looked like Beverly Hills or something, but all the street names were
the Top Gun district.
Yeah, the Top Gun district. What do we got on here? Like
we got Hollywood, okay, fine, but then we got Meg Ryan Expressway over here, and the Wolfman Building, and Goose Boulevard.
Yeah,
and,
I see Val Kilmer up there in the corner. Val Kilmer.
The Val Kilmer shopping complex or whatever that's going on up there.
Off to the opposite side, we see what like most of Tom Cruise's name there.
Yeah.
And then we have like the Maverick cul-de-sac up there at the top. Like it's it's very it's very funny. Yeah, some of the obituaries and other like information they look on the computer, like it's very interesting, just funny stuff.
I mean, did they not think anyone was gonna pause the video whenever people were buying this?
I think they just figured, like, even like for the Japanese people who do know English, it's just whatever. It's just fluff. It's just writing, I guess. But if that was the case, they should have just wrote like the fake cursive, like in the Great Ace Attorney when she's speaking quote unquote English. They should have just done like you know what I mean? They should have just probably done that or whatever. But one more thing I found funny there was a schedule at the police station that instead of first shift, it said fist shift.
Well, you know, that's the gun-free shift.
only use your fists on the boomers. Oh my god.
Yeah, hand to hand only.
I don't know. So like episode 8, the last one here. As I said, like this series started in 87 because of production problems. This last episode came out like January or February 91. And the times were a changing, but like they kept the same sound and production style and everything. It's still very 80s. Like the commitment to it is admirable, I think. You had to at that point, I guess.
I mean, I guess so, but at the same time, they started off with a traditional anime intro, like...
Yeah, that was weird, right? Because like usually intros in this series are whatever the fuck they're doing, not just like
whatever power ballad they were coming up with. But,
this was this was like a clip show of like it felt like a very traditional TV intro, and that was strange. I was wondering if you picked up on that too.
How could I miss it? After 7 very unique opening sequences, we had one that was very unique because it wasn't.
Very much so. Yeah, so like this sort of begins in action, right? Their lightsabers are doing lightsaber things.
And they win, hooray! But Pris smashes a camera, and that doesn't come up until the next scene because the camera belongs to a girl named Lisa. And wouldn't you know it, she's the niece of the chief of police on vacation for the week. And they're close in age, so, you know, Nene will have to watch her.
Yep. It's like having a big sister or something. They were doing that whole thing. Yeah, it's like, okay.
Andre, I gotta tell you, I don't know what the real bad guy's plan was in this episode.
I don't know.
Something about being unappreciated at work or something. Some kind of bullshit about that, because Lisa's subplot about... trying to figure out the secret identity of the lightsabers just because they broke her camera.
She spent a long time on that on the show. Like this episode is almost an hour long. They spent a very long time on that. Like it almost makes me think they didn't know this was the last episode, because I don't think they would have spent that much time on this.
I mean, once things finally do start happening the first time with the villain of the day, Lisa springs into action too, because right away, she hops into Daly's car, mobilizes his unit. Come on, guys, let's go! And they all say, yeah, yes, ma'am. When they get to the scene, she rushes past the roadblocks of whatever office building that was, rides up the elevator, runs atop the scaffolding, and takes a snapshot just in time to get a shot of Nene's helmet missing.
Yeah, but not full on though. Like it's still a bit obscured. She's kind of turned to the side, and there's like kind of broken glass in the way. So it's like there's plausible deniability for Nene, which she does take advantage of. But you know,
what You know, we got to delay this a bit.
Yeah, they spent a long time on it. It was just, I don't know. That's why I just feel like they didn't know. Um, okay, where does Celia meet her informant this time?
Somewhere else we definitely don't have today, the Hollow Drive-In Theater. I wish we had this in real life.
That would be so cool. The screen looked huge.
And there was a pretty good picture on there.
Yeah. It looked like they were watching AD Police, like there's a side anime to Bubblegum Crisis called AD Police. It looked like footage from that, personally. Or it looked like, I don't know, it could be just footage they didn't use from like another episode or something like that, but it sure looked like something. I don't think they made that just for the space age.
I don't think they did either. I honestly thought the one lady kind of looked like Division, but I don't know. It really wasn't on there long enough.
But I don't know. There was like a good portion of Nene fat shaming, falling behind on her training. It's just like
it's weird because we see them training and it's like this Tron ass shit.
Yeah.
With AR puck dodging and whatever. And then they run her through the system like, oh, you gained 2 pounds. Let's fat shame Nene for 3 minutes.
Yeah, and then that doesn't lead anywhere, though. It's not like, I'm not good enough to beat the bad guy at the end. I need to train. Or no, nothing happened. It was weird. It was very incidental. Not that everything has to tie to something, but like, I don't know. It felt like a lot of time wasting for, again, I don't think they knew this was her last episode. I just don't think so.
Then Lisa has a talk with Celia in the middle of a grungy alley about the ethics of what the Nightsabers do. Isn't it a little late for this conversation?
Very much so, but like, I guess, I don't know, if it's not apparent from the show already, there's a lot of fucked up shit in this world, and they're trying their best to make people safe. I mean, I don't know what explanation it needs to be other than that, but I feel like that was well established from the first thing. They fight boomers and they save people and they take jobs. It's all you really need to know. But after that, we get into the big final scene happens in the AD Police big circular building.
Yeah, the plan seems to just be whatever his new breed of boomer is. He sends one to override the mainframe and fuck things up, while the other ones are free to run around, shoot it. Just dealing with personnel personally. They lock down the doors, and you pointed this out yourself. It's very Die Hard-esque.
Yeah, it's very Die Hard. Like I'm surely you thought the same thing, because
I mean the shutters are out and the elevator, and Gas points out, and it's up to Nene to help Lisa get out of the building.
Yeah, which is like, I don't know, very fun sequence of events though. Super cool. I really enjoyed all that stuff. Felt claustrophobic and fun.
You like how Nene had to, I don't know, had to finger the computer to override it or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen her do computer things a few times, but this is like the time we actually see her like do whatever the heck all that is.
I don't know. Very, very cool last episode, and they just kind of fly off and do, well, Nightsabers will return again. So no real closure, and not that I expected any. But you know what, though? Since we're done with all the episodes, let me make that our first wrap-up question here, of which we have a few, before we get out of here. How unfinished does this actually feel to you? And if so, DGAF?
See, I feel like this had a few endings, so how unfinished can we really call this? There was only, to me, the only real lingering plot thread for me was Celia Stingray,
and then, which we never found out about, right? So clearly they were leading to something, but
other than that, the story ended at least 2 times before that. So, could have plausibly ended 2 times before that.
It could have. I mean, you could say that Bubblegum Crisis, if it ended after that episode 3, that'd be probably the best 3-episode OAV of all time. Or at least way up there, right? It's not that the other episodes drag it down. It's just that you could have this keep going as long as you want it. Now I'm glad we got as much as we got, but yeah, I don't know. For me, the show is just aesthetic. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily style over substance, though. I guess you could say it is. I mean, and that's fine, but it's just aesthetic to the max. I don't need a story that makes sense. I just need Mega Tokyo and its denizens. That's all I need.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this. You are an animation enthusiast. We don't really get to talk about this too much because we don't really talk animation.
Me on the spot.
We don't really talk animation here, but now that we're talking anime, let me just pose this to you, and then you can say what you will. Am I just being a curmudgeon, an old fogey, when I say there's something to pre-digital coloring and like text overlays? They're not even overlays. They're hard into the production itself. They're not overlays, actually. I should even call them that. That bright, like shining text that you have this like washed out black level. It creates a look and a style unto itself. They were just using the tools they had at the time, of course, but that still is something, you know? And it's not that I think it's better than digital, because I don't feel that way at all. I'm not one of those people, but there's a handcrafted appeal to it, right? Think about the last anime to be done traditionally, like, you know, probably mid-90s, right? Gundam Wing, Evangelion, those are the last ones to be done completely the old way. And then you have, like, just a few years later, you have the difference is wild, right? So, like, I guess it's not much of a real question, but what do you think about what I'm saying?
Well, yes, of course, there is something very much to the old ways, but if we've learned anything from this exercise and from what you kept mentioning, time is the enemy in any of these projects. Money is the enemy in all of these projects. You look around now at different animation studios and what they're expected to do. They're all expected to crank out X amount of content in a certain amount of time, as little as money as possible. Yeah, I get it. Something's got to give along the way. I'm just in the camp that is thankful that anime still looks traditional-ish, as opposed to a lot of the way certain American cartoons do now. I can't poo-poo every American the way a lot of American cartoons look right now, but a lot of them, again, they'll adopt more minimal styles because they gotta, and some can rely on writing or stylization, but a lot of these projects just die before they ever come out. It's a very fine line, and everyone in the comments can tell me all the ways I'm wrong.
You're right. I mean, that is, again, I don't hate digital. I don't hate CG animation, any of that stuff. I think that stuff's great. I would never say one's better than the other. It's like people who think like analog recorded music is better than digital, and I think they're fucking crazy. And you know what I mean? Like I think that stuff is bullshit. You use the tools that you have and you make something good out of it. That's all you can do. And we make great stuff now. We made great stuff back then. It's just that, like, there's just something to this old style of animation that we won't have anymore. And it's special. I feel that way. I felt that way at the time too.
It is. It's special. Yes, it's special. You're not being an absolute curmudgeon. It's fine.
Okay. Just one more note before we get out of here. Two of the producers of Bubblegum Crisis went on to create Tenchi Muyo, everyone's favorite harem anime, or infamous harem anime. They said they used we didn't really talk about it too much, but Celia's little brother Mackie is kind of a pervert. He even tried to scope her like tits, like in the first episode, because, like, you know, he was like, "Oh, wake up! Wake up, sister! It's time to blah blah blah." I don't know what he said, and then like she's talking to him, and he's like,
"Wake up, stepsister!"
He's like staring at her tits, man. What a pervert. And he's a pervert through the whole thing. Anyway, they said they used Mackie's personality as a base for Tenchi. I don't like harem anime, so I've never watched Tenchi Muyo, but, like, you know, apparently that was the basis for that. So you have Bubblegum Crisis to thank for Tenchi Muyo. I don't know, man. This is great. Bubblegum Crisis. Guys, if you want to watch this, it's free on Tubi. Tubi is free too. Go watch it. Like, you want an old anime to watch? You know, people always ask, "Oh, what, you know, recommendations?" And I'm usually bad at that kind of thing. Bubblegum Crisis. You can't go wrong, honestly. Steve, would you just generally recommend this as, like, must-watch old anime? Because I think I kind of would.
You can do much worse.
Give a recommendation, you fuck.
I just did. Go watch Bubblegum Crisis on Tubi. Or spend too much on DVDs. I don't give a fuck.
DVDs again. God, this is like 2006. Okay, folks, we'll see you later. Bye.